You did it. Congratulations. You went through the entire hiring process. You got hired. You've had your first day. You've already made your introductions, and now you are on probation. You're a probie. You're a rookie. You're a new guy. You're a new girl on your new crew, and you're going to be spending the next, depending on how long your probationary period is, 6 months, a year, sometimes 2 years, as the new guy or the new girl or the probie. So over this course of time, depending on your officer, depending on your department, they might be very good at giving you instructions on what you should and shouldn't be doing, things you should and shouldn't be training on, or maybe they just kind of throw you to the wolves and let you kind of figure it out. Either way, in this video, we are going to be going over 14 things you can and should be doing as a probationary firefighter to make yourself stand out, to learn more, and just become a better firefighter. As always, if you find this video helpful, if you find this content useful, click the like button below, subscribe to the channel, share the video. You guys have been awesome. You guys have been really responsive, and I appreciate you doing that. So, first things first, if you're not sure what probation is like, you will be held to a certain standard. Actually, let me rewind. You get hired, and then you usually spend anywhere from the first week to month. Most departments do 2 weeks, and you'll be on what's called 40 hours. Now, what happens in 40 hours is you will work 5 8-hour days, 40-hour work weeks, like a normal job. You'll show up at the department at 6, 7, 8 in the morning, whatever time your shift starts, and you work an 8-hour day for 40 hours for 2 weeks or whatever. This gives you an opportunity to meet all the different crews, meet everybody at whatever house you'll be at. Maybe you're a big department where you have multiple houses, or maybe you're a small department and you just have one firehouse. Well, you get to meet everybody or at least work with everybody for a little bit. After those 40-hour work weeks are over with, you will get assigned to a specific crew, a specific shift, and then you will go on from there. Now, you will be on probation anywhere from 6 months. Most places do a year. I've even heard of some departments doing 2-year-long probations, and in that time, you'll be held to a different standard. You're going to have to learn a lot. There's going to be a lot for you to do. So, first thing you should be doing, well, there's a lot of things you should be doing, but one of the most important things you should be doing is you should be studying your maps. Now, this is so important. Every firefighter, whether you're a small department, big department, you need to know your district. You need to know your city. You need to know what, at the very least, what are the main roads and what are any sort of main obstructions in those roads. The reason being, you might not be driving for a while, but there might come a situation where you need to find your way around. Maybe there's an accident. Maybe there's bad weather. Maybe there's something going on. You need to understand where you are in relation to the entire district or the entire city. How can you do that? Well, most departments have just maps of all departments should have maps of wherever their district or city is, but a lot of times they'll have just blank ones, and you need to get so good that anybody can come up and point at a particular street and you know what it is. If you don't have those types of maps, just print one off from Google Maps or wherever you can get a map. Another thing that really helped me a lot, and this obviously depends on your officer, is when I was on probation, the officer I had at the time allowed me to just get in one of the vehicles and just go drive around. Go understand the neighborhoods. Go learn the quirks of different neighborhoods. Some neighborhoods have really narrow streets, some have really wide streets. Go understand those things and go learn those things. Now, if your officer is one that doesn't want you to do that while you are on duty, do it off duty. Do it on your way home or on your way to work. Get to know the neighborhoods, get to know the streets in your city or your district. That will be so important going forward. Number 2, master a truck. So where I work currently, we're one station, we're one department, we're a smaller department, and we have a ladder, 2 engines, a rescue, 3 squads. We have some jet skis, we have various command vehicles, SUVs, pickup trucks, things like that. You don't need to master all of those trucks in your first year. What you should be doing, though, is pick whatever the main truck you will be on most of the time. If you're at a department that does a lot of EMS, I get it. EMS, it might not be the sexiest thing out there. If you're going to be spending a lot of time on that ambulance, you need to know that ambulance inside and out. You need to know what is in every single drawer, what is in every single compartment. You need to know the doses of every medication in your drug box. You need to know that thing inside out, up, down, forward, back, every which way. Now, if you work for the department I used to work for when I first got hired, there were 5 stations, and each station had different vehicles at it. And at the station I was assigned to, if I remember correctly, there was just 1 engine and 1 ambulance, if I remember right. That makes it a little easier. You only have 2 trucks you need to learn, not 5 or 6 like you do where I currently work. So pick the one you'll be on the most and start with that one. Spend 2 months mastering that truck. So one way that I found that was helpful is, again, when I first started, one of the officers that I had printed out. It was almost like if you imagine if you were looking down on top of the truck. He had drawn out spaces. He had drawn on this piece of paper and made a bunch of copies of it, spaces for the different compartments throughout the engine and the ladder. And what I would have to do is every few weeks he would give me one of these pieces of paper, and I would have to write out on paper in each one of those compartments what's in there, how many tools are in there, and I wasn't allowed to miss anything. So you need to understand and know your trucks that well, whether it be a fire truck, whether it be an ambulance, whatever it is. You need to pick one truck to start and master that truck. Number 3, master a tool. There is essentially an infinite number of tools in a fire department. It will take you an entire career to master every single tool that's out there. But as the new guy, new girl, Probie, what you need to be doing is you need to pick whatever tool, pick a really common tool on whatever truck you'll be on the most. So for example, if you'll be on an ambulance, understand your monitor. Be the person that knows everything about your cardiac monitor. Or if we're talking about a fire truck, pick something as simple as the irons. You need to master whatever tool you know that you'll be using frequently. So you might be hearing me say something like, well, what do you mean master the irons? It's just a flathead axe and a Halligan. What's there to master? What uses are there for each of them? What are the advantages or disadvantages of each? Maybe you take something like a pike pole. What are the different types of hooks? When would you use them? What's the best way to carry them when you advance a hose line? There's so much for you to learn and for you to understand going forward with even something as simple as an axe. You need to get started. Take that out, learn everything about that axe, watch as much training, watch as many videos as you can, talk to as many people as you can, start picking tools and mastering them. And you'll know when you've mastered a tool, or really anything, when you're able to teach it to somebody else. So that's kind of your benchmark. Number 4, double check and master your own personal gear. Everybody through fire school did donning and doffing drills nonstop, right? You did it a million times. You had to do it in under a minute. I get it. It's not the most exciting thing, but you need to keep doing that. You need to check your personal gear. You need to make sure your radio battery isn't dead. If you work at a place where everybody on the engine, if you're a jump guy, you have an assigned seat, make sure your pack's working. Check your pack fully every single day. You need to master your personal gear, because as a new guy, when you go out on that first fire call, you will be so amped up that you won't be thinking straight. I remember one of the first calls I ever went on, one of my first ever fire calls, I was so amped up and I wasn't thinking that as the truck was pulling out, I realized I still had my station boots in my hands as I'm sitting in the truck, and I realized, like, what the hell am I doing with these things? Why do I have, and I had to throw them out the window on the way out the door. And I was even still so amped up, it took me a while to get out of the truck, because one of our trucks, you just kind of roll out the front, and then the other one has a handle in the seat. I forgot, I thought I was sitting in the other truck. I was just so amped up, I wasn't thinking straight. I promise you, you will probably do that too. It's totally normal, it's okay. You'll probably get made fun of if somebody sees it, but it is what it is. So make sure you master your gear and you are extremely familiar with every little bit. Master your SCBA bottle, your air pack, master it all. Number 5, work out. There's a lot of fat firefighters. Let's just call it what it is. And there seems to be a problem, especially with new guys, over the course of their year or 2 years, as they get more comfortable, as they get more familiar with the department. They just eat and don't really take care of themselves, and they kind of gain a lot of weight and they get out of shape. Don't become that fat guy. Don't become the fat guy or fat girl that after your first year, you step on the scale and you're 30 pounds heavier you were when you first started. When you put on your gear, it doesn't fit right. When you go out into a fire, you're breathing heavy and you're breathing down a bottle in 5 minutes because now you're so out of shape. Now, when I say go work out, I say do that cautiously. Make sure it's okay with your officer. I can't imagine an officer that doesn't want their people working out regularly and staying in shape. But I mean, don't just arbitrarily walk over there and start if there's a weight room next door, don't just go over there and do that. Make sure it's done at the appropriate time and in the appropriate way, and just ask. I would think every single officer out there would want their people working out and staying in shape, so just find out about that. But make sure that you make time to work out and stay in shape. Number 6, introduce yourself to the admin staff. Every fire department, so you've already met some of the admin staff. Obviously, over the course of your interviews, you've met the chief. You've probably met a lot of the officers. If there's assistant chiefs, you've probably met one or multiple of them. But there's other people that work at the fire department as well. Every fire department has a secretary or some sort of general management office type of person. That person runs the department. I got news for you. They will be so important to you over the course of your probation, but over the course of your entire year. Just go up and introduce yourself to that person. Maybe that's uncomfortable for you, but get over it. Hey, I'm Mike. I'm new here. It's nice to meet you. I just want to come up here and introduce myself. People remember those things. Go out of your way to do that. Maybe your department has dedicated inspectors. Go introduce yourself to them. I'll tell you what, fire inspectors are an underrated group. They have so much knowledge about not just fire inspections and building code and things like that, but they could tell you anything you want to know pretty much about any building in that entire department. They know where the bad places are and the buildings that are potentially going to be problem areas down the road. You want to know that information. You don't have to be best friends with these people, but at the very least, just go up and introduce yourself to them so that you're on a first name basis. Number 7, make coffee. This is a must. Unless your department has one of those guys or girls that is just obsessed with the coffee and that's their thing and nobody else is allowed to touch it, coffee is a staple in a firehouse, if you didn't know that. It's almost like a rite of passage. Almost everybody drinks it. It's what everybody does while you're sitting around the kitchen table. It's what everybody does first thing in the morning. And most firehouses essentially always have a fresh pot of coffee available or quickly available. So be the person that makes sure that the coffee's always flowing. Like I said, if you have that person that's their thing, obviously don't get in their way, but just know that that's an important thing in the firehouse and in a fire service. And so make sure you do that without asking. You learn the coffee maker and you just keep it going throughout the day. Number 8, read and reread and then reread some more your protocols. I'm talking your standard operating procedures, your SOPs, your SOGs. If you do EMS, read your protocols, become intimately familiar with them. You will inevitably run into a situation where you need them, and trust me, nobody expects you to remember every single word of every single protocol that's ever been written. Not only are they usually extremely boring, but depending on what you're doing, they can be kind of complex too. But at least become familiar enough so that if somebody says something about them, you at least have an idea of what they're talking about. You don't want them to reference some sort of regulation in your SOPs and you're just, what are you talking about? Don't be that guy, don't be that girl. Become familiar with those things. Number 9, have coffee with a crew member. You just heard me talk about coffee and the importance that coffee plays in the fire service. Again, a couple things. If you're new and you haven't watched the video that I made about how to fit in with a new group, I'll link it right there. But do this tactfully. As a probationary firefighter, you will be held to a higher expectation. You will be expected to be the first one up in the mornings. Usually you'll be expected to be the first one to do all the housework, the kind of chore work. You're going to be expected to be the first one on the truck on a given call. So if crew members or crewmates see you just sitting around talking all the time, that's not going to go well. But if you do have some downtime and you have the opportunity, sit down with somebody else on your crew and just have a cup of coffee with them. Ask them questions about themselves. Ask them how long they've been there, how they got into this, all that kind of stuff. Just be conversational. These are going to be, assuming this is the crew that you stay on for a long period, these are going to become very important people in your life. You're going to find yourself on some great calls, and you're also going to find yourself probably in some pretty hairy situations with these people. So get to know them. You've got lots of time, but make sure you take time to do that as well. Number 10. Do the dirty or obscure jobs that nobody else wants to do. As a probationary firefighter, you will be cleaning a lot of toilets. You will be sweeping a lot of floors. You will be mopping a lot of floors. You'll be vacuuming a lot of floors. You'll be taking out a lot of trash. It's just part of the job. You'll be doing a lot of dishes. It is what it is. It's part of the job. But there's other things that are obscure that usually don't get done. Now, I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. Some of the guys I work with make fun of me for that regularly, but for example, You go into the day room, nobody ever vacuums off the couch. Be the guy that does those extra little things. Be the girl that, cleans off the TV, because I'm sure that thing is so dusty there's probably a layer of film on it if you wipe your finger across it. Be the person that cleans off the top of the refrigerator or the backsplash on the stove. Those things get disgusting really quick and they get easily overlooked. Seems like an insignificant thing that nobody would notice, but I promise you, people will notice if you regularly do those obscure things that nobody else does. Number 11, learn to cook. Now, you don't have to become a master chef, but I highly recommend that over the course of you being a firefighter or getting into firefighting, you pick maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 different dishes. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, and learn them. You have to have in your back pocket a handful of different dishes that you can do at any given time, because firefighters like to eat. They eat quite a bit. You don't want to be the person that's expected to cook and you just come up with a turd sandwich, right? Don't be that person. Even if it's something as simple as spaghetti and meatballs, just learn how to do 2 or 3 different things. It'll come in handy down the road. Number 12, shine your boots. And this goes, if you've heard me talk before about the importance of how you present yourself and how you look professional, I talk about that in all our stuff leading up to the interview. I'll link that right here. But you have to look good. And I'll be honest, I'm guilty of this quite a bit. My boots may or may not be in the best shape right now. I actually have to get a new pair, and I'm going to be doing another video on that here shortly on boots. But anyways, make sure that they look presentable. Dirty boots, dirty shoes, you're going to be going in and out of people's houses a lot. Your boots need to be in the condition that if the mayor walked in right now, you wouldn't be like, oh God, I look like a mess. I look like a slob. Don't look like you just rolled out of bed. Make sure you look good, and part of that is shining your boots. Number 13, work on CEs, read a tactics book, watch a tactics video. I'm sure your station has a ton of different books, videos, training modules, things like that on all sorts of different tactics, on their tactics, on how they like to do things, how they do fire attack. There's a lot of information out there. I know Fire Rescue 1 has a lot of stuff. Go on YouTube. Again, make sure this is done properly though. Your officer may not like the fact that you're just sitting in front of a computer clicking through YouTube, and we've all gone down those YouTube wormholes. Just make sure you do it at the right time, but review these things. You're going to have to do these things. You're going to have to know these things very well. And then finally, number 14, and if you are a union guy, you might not like when I say this, begin a new certification without being asked. Now, I say that with some hesitancy because during your probationary period, you're going to be drinking from a fire hose, no pun intended. There's going to be so much stuff coming at you all at once, information-wise, and you're going to be expected to not know all of it on day one, but it's going to be a lot for you to learn over the course of several months. It can be overwhelming. But if you're on probation for a year, that's a good amount of time. And I mean, my God, if you're on probation for 2 years, that's a really long time to be on probation. Begin a new certification on your own time and on your own dime that the department might need. So for example, fire departments do so many different things, and that's actually another video I'm going to be making too, is all the things that fire departments actually do for the community outside of just fighting fires. Where I work, we do car seat installations. I had no idea that fire departments did that till I became a firefighter. Maybe go get your car seat tech license or certification, whatever that is. Rope certifications, hazmat certifications. Do those things in your own time. If that's something you're interested in and it would be of value to the department, it will make you stand out. It shows that you have initiative and you're willing to go the extra mile and invest your own time and your own money into your education to be a better asset for that department. Now, when I say union guys might not like that, there's a lot of people out there that think that if you work for the department, anything and everything you should be doing should be paid for 100%, and you should never spend a minute of your time outside of there on anything related to that unless you're getting paid for it. But put yourself in the position of a boss. Put yourself in the position of a chief or an officer or whatever, and imagine that you had a new employee, a new person who came in and said, hey, I didn't need to do this, but I went and got this certification because I was interested in it and I think it would help the department. that person would stand out so much more than the person that says, yeah, I might do that, but you need to pay for it, and I'm going to do it on your time, and I want you to pay me overtime when I do it, and go from there. Now, if you're a union guy and don't like that, I don't really care. It's true. Most officers would like to see and have people on their crews that show initiative. So, as always, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Click the like button on this video. Share this video if you or somebody you know is interested in firefighting or getting into the fire service, or maybe is on the verge of getting hired somewhere. Check out some of the other videos on this channel. I try and make them as helpful as I can for people that are interested in the fire service or getting into the fire service or gear or firefighter fitness. And I will see you guys in the next video.